Eastern Conference semifinals, Game 2. Game 2, Philadelphia paying a visit to Boston. Now, the Sixers, if you've been following along, I assume you have, but maybe not. You're listening to a sports radio show. I think you would know what's going on. Anyway, the Sixers trying to steal another game on the road. They had the vintage James Harden performance. Looked like he was in the regular season lighting up the Celtics in the Game 1 matchup. And the news, surprise, 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 Joel Embiid, Mr. MVP, the most valuable player, because there was backlash if he would not have won, even though Nikola Jokic had been better. But Embiid was back in the lineup. Did you watch? Were you no, you were not watching this? Well, you didn't miss anything. Jaylen Brown. Who? Jaylen Brown. He's the number 2 guy for the Celtics. He had 25 points and led not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4. How about 5? 5 Celtic players in double figures as Boston ambushed the Sixers in the second half. It was a close game midway through, and then they went turbo-tastic in the second half, and Boston wins 121-87 in a game that was unwatchable by midway through the third quarter. The series is tied 1-1. The C's poleaxing Philadelphia after halftime. They led by as many as 36. They win by 34. So Game 3. Back in the Delaware Valley. That'll be coming up in a couple days. But let us discuss the question. Who gets the blame for the Sixers being vaporized by the Celtics in Game 2? So I've got malpractice, hangover, and Listerine. And we will combine all of these things together, and we are going to make a rotten cheesesteak sandwich, because that is what Philadelphia served up, a rotten steak sandwich. My God, was that terrible. And, listen, Philadelphia as a team, I don't know what they did at halftime. I wasn't in the locker room. I assume you were not in the locker room either. Maybe they were sitting around watching cartoons. They smoked the peace pipe. I don't know what they were doing, but I do know they were guilty. I know the result. They were guilty of truancy. As they showed up for 24 minutes, they mentally checked out, and they might as well have just sent their luggage to Logan to get on the flight back to Philly and just to do that. But that was a curb stomping. The Sixers, man alive. And I've seen some El Stinko performances by Doc Rivers, coach teams. Now, Doc, I don't know if you know this. It's a little secret. Not a real doctor. Blows my mind. Not a real doctor. But he is responsible, Doc Rivers, for what I call basketball malpractice. Now, Doc Rivers has been billed as a motivational maven, and he's not the X's and O's guys, but this guy, he'll get his team to run through a building. Now, I'm not high on NBA coaches. I think they do very little, but Doc has been around a long time. He's got a nice resume. And so you would think with that kind of resume that Doc Rivers would be able to back something up, get his team ready to go. That's his claim to fame. And the Sixers, for a half, they were down by 8. They came out after halftime as flat as a tarot card. You know that tower tarot card, upright, the one that spells out sudden upheaval and disaster? Yeah, that's...
Who?
That's, yeah. Well, you don't do tarot cards? Now, how bad was it? The Celtics outscored Philly 64-38 in the second half. 64-38 in the final 24 minutes. They shot in the second half over 50% from the floor. It was a surgical takedown. And most of the damage by Malcolm Brogdon and Derek White. They were the ones in the second half that put up the big numbers, and also Jaylen Brown. Now, page 2 here. So what was the vibe? What was the vibe from Philadelphia? So it was satisfaction. You know how they have those self-driving cars these days, the Teslas, you can just click a button, they drive themselves. Well, this is like an autopilot situation. It's too hard to play a full 48 minutes. And the reason it was too hard for Philadelphia to play a full 48 minutes, the 76ers, kind of giddy, right? Kind of giddy. After the Game 1 win, and they're celebrating their title. You're not supposed to play another game after you celebrate a title. The Joel Embiid championship, the MVP championship, and they were in a celebratory mood in Philadelphia. We know James Harden likes to have a good time. Philly serving up a textbook example of what we call the hangover, the championship hangover, after a regal performance, a majestic shooting night for James Harden, where he shot 17 of 30 in game one, 7 of 14 from the money ball line, and 45 points. He flashed back. We had mentioned that, well, you know Harden's good for at least one stinker in every playoff series, and here we go. Here we go. He flashed back by standard, classical playoff Harden, as he was frazzled and completely zonked the beard, as he's known. The beard giveth, and the beard taketh away. James Harden, how bad was he in the second half? He was 0 for 4 in the second half, 2 for 14 overall in the game, had 1 point after halftime, continues to be feast or famine with a lean towards famine, an ugly duckling performance. But they do have good ballets in Boston, so it is a city of the arts. So it is possible that James Harden was out enjoying some of the great nightlife that Boston has to offer, and he might not have been fully engaged in that game. Also, Tyrese Maxey, he came back, and he was not very good either. And Joel Embiid, didn't look like an MVP to me. I'd rather have Jokic. All right, last word here. So how are things on the other side? How are things looking for the Celtics? So this was a extremely important game, as by the context of, hey, it's round 2 of the playoffs, but this was paramount that Boston win. They had to get their mojo back. And so now you can rest and digest. You can exhale to a degree, because if you'd lost this game, that would have been Panic at the Disco. Instead, now it is meditation. It is controlled breathing. This was what we call a Listerine victory. Cool mint. You get that bad flavor, that bad taste out of your mouth, and you get that nice minty taste. And that's what this was. So did everything right, knocking down 3-point shots. It was Papa shot for the Celtics in this game, as the Sixers decided that they did not want to play perimeter defense. Why would you? It's only the playoffs. You can't expect to have them play every game with any kind of engagement. Now, to be fair, it's not like the Celtics had problems on offense in game one. Their problems were on the defensive side in game one, as in they played matador defense. Ole, 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 ole in game one. And so we'll see what happens here going forward in this series, but it will be at least a best-of-5 series. Now, as an added bonus, much like every good late-night infomercial, but wait, there's more. The Celtics, not only do they have that nice Listerine minty taste, but they were able to win a game where they got nothing out of 2 of their starters on offense. Next to nothing. So that is a feather in the cap for Joe Mazzulla. And I've seen Mazzulla, and the Celtics run a hybrid version of what Golden State does, and it's kind of the in thing in the NBA, where the Celtics offense is based on randomness. Right? Mazzulla, I saw an interview this week, he was talking about how the Celtics play, and they rely so heavily on randomness that there's certain zones that they're supposed to shoot from, and they it's the analytical bullcrap. But the Celtics winning with Jason Tatum, Mr. All-World, 4th in the MVP voting, although he was actually higher than that midseason. Jason Tatum took 7 shots. He made 1 of them. He had 7 more points than you had. And Everyday Al, or Average Al, whatever they call him there, I think it was Average Al, his first stint with the Celtics. But Al Horford took 10 shots and made 2 of them. So 2 starters for the Celtics combined to go 3 of 17 for 12 total points, sucking at a time you cannot suck, and it didn't matter. It didn't matter. The opposite had happened. We're very reactionary. We would have come in here and destroyed Tatum and Horford, but instead, it's just in the background, and we move on, and that is that.